and making sure that we are fully covered on what we're talking about this morning and asking some good questions and giving us some good feedback and some good response. We're going to talk to Josh Cribbs in a couple minutes, Craig Lyndall for Waiting from Next Year. Roger Shenwa is going to join us, former Brown. Matt Hayes, the comedian out of New York, will join us as well. So we have a fun-filled show for you. If you want to get involved, like many people already have, 216-431-3820. That's the number to call. 216-431-3820. Or just Skype in at Dogs on the Run. Dogs on the Run.
Please don't Skype and drive. That's our PSA for this Monday morning and every morning. Take us with us. Don't Skype and drive.
Well, the big thing is just don't look at the screen while you're in the...
You can listen.
I mean, the audio is pretty good from Skype, but the thing is that you want to make sure that you're not looking at the screen while you're driving, right?
Right.
You can use your Bluetooth. You can go into the USB port. All those things are really easy to do. And that's the way you can get connected to the show. So we're excited to have you along. Also, you can tweet at us. He is Mike Cairns 5. I'm Andy_Baskin. We'll read some of your tweets, and I will read. There you go. It's right there. Nice job. Thanks. And I'll read some of my Facebook posts from last night because they were ridiculous last night. I mean, those
were probably the good ones because right after.
Well, yeah, and they were just immediately following the game. Bill says, bring in Cribbs to quarterback. Oh, look at that. We'll talk to Josh in a second. Bring in Cribbs to quarterback. Whedon is not an NFL-quality quarterback. Matt Smith, terrible game today. Whedon stunk. Defense stunk. It was a complete letdown. Karen says, I think you already know my thoughts, but what possible scenario could have caused a total second-half collapse, dysfunctional play, including blown calls from the referees? We're going to talk about that in a little bit, too. I want to get into the referees.
Yeah.
This was a perfectly winnable game. As we witnessed at the half, much was to blame. Whedon isn't the only problem. Where was the defense today? Rob says Whedon shouldn't play another snap. There's a lot of people think that. Mark says re-sign Josh Cribbs to play quarterback. We'll be better off than we were with Whedon.
In the Cleveland Kate tweeted in, said could they start Whedon for the first half and Jason Campbell for the second half, and then we got a couple of these came right after the game. Let's see. There was another one who asked us. Tara said, first question for Dogs on the Run tomorrow. Why? This is because she tweeted right after the game. Why won't Whedon use Jordan Cameron more? Which I think a lot of people were saying. I mean, I've seen that question a ton of times.
All right, let me check with Eric, the referee. Eric, what are you texting your girlfriend?
Yep.
Is Josh Cribbs ready?
He is ready.
All right, let's go to Josh Cribbs then. All right, we're done with you, Eric, the referee. Hi, Josh. How are you?
Hey, Josh.
We're good. I know that you just said, how are you guys? I can't hear you, though. I don't know what's going on. We're having, like, little things with the audio. Let's try it one more time. Hi, Josh. How are you? He's looking good.
He's always looking good.
What do you think? That's a Dunbar hat he's wearing?
No, that's a Major League Baseball hat.
Josh, we can see you, but we can't hear you. So let's see. Eric, the referee, this is a major fail on yourself. So I need you to
throwing the flag on myself.
Nice throw. That's the best throw you've had in 6 weeks or whatever.
He finally got the flag on himself.
That was the best throw, and we didn't even get it on camera. So
What's in this thing? Weird. All right, so we'll fix his audio. We'll get back to Josh in a couple seconds.
Ask Orlando Brown.
Or else we'll just, that's
nice.
So wrong.
Nice.
How could you say that?
No, just saying. They just ask him. He doesn't want to talk.
All right, worst case scenario, we'll get Josh back on the phone, and we'll talk to Josh that way. So anyways, there are some things. The things that kind of bothered me about yesterday's game, one, the roughing the quarterback call at the end of the game, the play that the Browns tried to review. Fox must have sent the worst crew possible into Cleveland yesterday because we saw two different replays, and that was it. And both of those were, I mean, it looked like his feet were in bounds. We needed a sideline shot. We needed some other kind of shot, but Fox didn't even go back to it. And then Fox didn't even apologize for it. They're like, oh, sorry, the replays are what the replays are.
And I was at the stadium yesterday, and the stadium crew, because they shoot the game for the big screens, they had a replay better than Fox. But for some reason, I don't know if you can't use that, but I was watching up in the press box the stadium replay, not Fox's, and you could clearly see, because they had the sideline shot, you could clearly see Greg Little's second heel touchdown before the butt touched out of bounds. So it was clearly a catch. And I'm like, why does the stadium crew get that shot? But the Fox network didn't get that shot.
Well, because the stadium crew, I think, is down on the ground.
You can't use that shot?
I don't know why they can't use that shot. That's ridiculous.
I mean, they're the NFL crew. I mean, they're basically an NFL crew working for the team. I don't know why that shot's not available to the network because it clearly showed Greg Little was in. It wasn't even close. You saw it.
Well, the worst part about it, though, was the announcers on TV were saying, well, he must have dragged his foot out of bounds before he did it. Well, come on, man. don't make something up and don't make up
They
for
had
the
no
referees.
clue.
I mean, that was crazy.
That was one of the worst broadcast teams I've ever seen do an NFL game. And there were so many people tweeting me yesterday about that. They're saying, well, they sent Troy Aikman and the A team to do the Patriots. We got the Z team. Or where did this team come from? Were these guys on a bender from a college football game the night before? And they took a left turn into Cleveland? I mean, I had so many bad tweets. But going back to the penalties, you had the PI on Joe Hayden that set up that touchdown to Foria. The one down, Joe clearly made a defensive play. Now, he had back-to-back PIs, but you also have to take away the second pass interference when the first one never really happened, right?
Right.
So you had that play. And then the talk was on the sack, the roughing the quarterback there in the fourth quarter.
He took his arms back. It wasn't like he tried to drill him into the ground.
No.
That's the worst part about that call.
It was a terrible call, and the guys were talking about it in the locker room afterwards. I don't know what more he could have done. I really don't. He went into him, but he had his hands up. You could clearly see that he was letting up. So there's a lot of bad things that happened yesterday.
All right, let's check in with Eric, the referee, who is again texting his girlfriend.
Eric? What is up with her? Would you
I
have
know,
to bring eggs and milk, or what's going on? She can only ask you to bring eggs, milk, and bread so many times.
I know. Well, right now, Kurt's just having some audio problems, so we're trying to get that worked out. And right now we got the Guitar Man, your favorite, the little soundtrack, Craig
double
Lyndall
soundtrack?
from Waiting for Next Year.
All right,
That's
Craig,
the
what a
man.
great introduction for you. Craig, how are you this morning?
How's it going?
Oh,
There
good.
he
And
is.
we can hear
Perfect.
you. That's
Yeah,
the best part about it.
outstanding.
All right, so first of all, because we're so depressed about this loss yesterday, musically, what talents are you going to bring us today for the show?
Oh, goodness. Now I'm on the spot. I have no idea. I didn't prepare anything today. I was
we gave you a
too
whole
busy
week to write a
rewatching the game
song.
this morning.
Every week you have to bring us some kind of musical tidbit. So just be prepared
right,
to
I'll
bring us
start
music
planning.
every week.
Okay, so you sang last week. You did drums 2 weeks ago. Do you have any other instruments in that room?
I really don't.
How about
I'm out
a-
of instruments. I've got different guitars and drums and stuff, but I promise I will prepare something for next week.
Greg, do you have kids?
I do. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
So you clearly have a Fisher-Price xylophone in there somewhere, right?
Oh, not yet. That's something I need to add to the repertoire.
Okay, we'll get that in there for the next one. What's the scoop and waiting for next year right now?
Oh, the scoop is, obviously we're talking about the Browns. I think I've made a decision that I don't want to talk about Brandon Weeden hardly at all today. There's nothing left to say, and short of a roster move or a trade, there's really nothing to talk about. So I want to talk more about the defense. And at first blush yesterday, I didn't think the Browns defense played all that badly. And then I started to rewatch it this morning and really started to think about it. They didn't play awfully, but they also didn't do anything particularly well. They didn't get any pressure on the quarterback yesterday, which I found kind of disappointing in hindsight.
All right, you sure you don't want to talk about the quarterback? Because I think that's all anyone's going to want to talk about today.
Well, what do you want to say? What do you want to
I
say?
don't know. What do you
Should we
do?
cut
What are the
one of
pro-
the only 2 quarterbacks left on the roster?
Yeah, what do you do? I think that's I can't tell you how many tweets I got yesterday and how many texts and all this, just left and right. Get rid of Brandon Weeden, trade him, cut him. And I'm looking at it every time I want to go back, and I stop myself because I could have typed it about 50 times yesterday, Craig. I could have just typed in, what do you want them to get in a trade? What would be worthy of trading a first-round draft pick? Do you really think you're going to get another first-round draft pick for him? Do you think you're going to get a 6th-round draft pick for him? You're not going to get anything for Brandon Weeden right now.
No, nothing. And I think it's more important. The Browns traded Trent Richardson. We don't want to rehash that either. But where was Willis McGahee in the second half yesterday? Was he even on the field? Was there an injury that I don't know about?
No, not that I know of.
No,
Did you ever have
no,
any injuries?
Nope, nothing.
There were a lot of
No.
issues with the scheme yesterday. There's a lot of issues with the fact that the defense didn't get any pressure on Matthew Stafford. If you want to talk about the embarrassing throw that Weeden made, once you note it, what else is there to say?
Well, and that's a good question as far as the Willis McGahee, because that's one of the things that was asked both to Weeden and Chud when they came out in the third quarter. One of the beat writers asked Brandon Weeden directly, was there any talk on the sideline before you started that third quarter that we're going to recommit to the run to set up the pass? And he said, no, that was never talked about. They came out throwing in that third quarter right from the get-go, and I agree with you. You're wondering, they didn't run the football great, but they ran the football enough to set up what they needed to do offensively through the air, and that was not there in the second half.
And when you rewatch the first half, you see Willis McGahee on the play action getting through the hole and providing that relief valve at least up the middle. In the second half, Chris Ogbonnaya wasn't leaking out as effectively. There weren't enough running plays to really set up the play action, I don't think. And so, yes, Brandon Weeden made some bad choices, but you could question the position he was maybe put in. And that's not me defending Brandon Weeden. I've done nothing of the sort. I think for sure the Browns are going to draft a quarterback, let Brian Hoyer compete to try and start next year, and that's the way we're going to go. I don't even know what Brandon Weeden does. But, fair is fair, and I think the Browns got a little bit out-schemed yesterday from the first half to the second half.
Well, I think the other thing, too, and we haven't talked about this at all, is that Nick Fairley, and I was listening to Detroit radio at halftime, and they were talking, and they were breaking it down.
Play-by-play announcers are awesome.
They're really, really good. And then I was bleeding into the third quarter as I was listening to those guys, and they were talking about Nick Fairley and how he came out and made some big plays early on in that third quarter, and it was like somebody got to him at halftime and said, quit being lazy, you need to be aggressive, and I think that was a big part of it, was that, and I know that Jim Schwartz after the game didn't want to talk about saying that they made adjustments in the second half, but they clearly made adjustments in the second half. And I think in some ways the Browns just got out-coached yesterday.
They did, and this game is lucky too. And the Browns did not, I don't want to blame the refs, but the Browns did not get any luck with the referees yesterday. That first pass interference on Joe Hayden, I saw Mike Pereira on Twitter, the referee guru, saying that, he grabbed the jersey, that's called every single time. And I was like, really? Come on. It's not called every single time. That was a close play. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, I think that goes Joe Hayden's way. Of course, the touchdown thereafter. I thought the Browns had, I'm all over the place, but I'm thinking about Fourier now. The Browns had pretty good coverage on that guy 3 times. So at some point you have to give Stafford credit for putting the ball in the right spot too.
And another thing too, when you look at Stafford, I counted in that second half, Craig, 6 third-down completions by Matthew Stafford. And 2 of those resulted in touchdowns. And I talked to the guys in the locker room about that afterwards. I think that was one of the biggest keys for Detroit putting 24 points on them in the second half, was the fact that it seemed like we're talking 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s. Matthew Stafford repeatedly converted on 3rd down to keep drives alive that became points.
Yeah. Matthew Stafford, I don't think he's in that top 5 category of quarterback, but he's one of those guys that you can definitely win with. If the Browns had somebody like Matt Stafford, I don't think anybody would be upset.
All right, Craig, thank you very much. We always appreciate it. What's going on waiting for next year? Folks are clicking
it'll be all Browns talk today, of course. Okay. I think Scott has something coming about the defense in particular. And always look for the film room. And then in 5 or 10 minutes, I'll be loading up my Monday morning podcast with Scott Rabb.
Oh, nice. Tell Scott we said hi.
Yeah.
I will do that. This is a lot more fun on weeks when they win.
There's a lot more to talk about when they lose, though. Unfortunately, that's what the problem is. But it is more fun. All right, next week we want a song. We'll give you all the credit for it.
Yes.
Done.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.